Hey, it's Marko here from Fair Realty. Today I'm talking about unconditional offers and why am I writing so many in a soft, slow market. If you look up unconditional offers, you'll find lots of information on they're super high risk, they're discouraged by all the real estate associations, the real estate councils. They're considered to carry a lot of liability for realtors, a lot of risk for buyers. Basically, the premise is if you're making an unconditional offer, there is no opportunity to do due diligence. If you don't have cash, maybe you haven't fully secured your financing, etc., etc. So I'm going to touch on 2 points. Why am I writing unconditional offers? And the second part's going to be due diligence. How do I get around that? So first of all, why unconditional offers in a market that's extremely slow and sellers are probably happy to take a conditional offer as well? Well, first of all, in the last few months, there's actually been a number of situations where properties have been listed, and even in a slow market, they've been listed under market value, and my clients have been able to secure them via unconditional offer. One unconditional offer we wrote was accepted, and a couple of days later, I got a phone call from another agent saying, listen, we wrote an offer way higher than yours, but the offer was conditional. Would your buyer be interested in selling us the contract? Which, by the way, you cannot do anymore in BC without the permission of the seller, and the seller would be entitled to the uplift. But the point is, someone offered substantially more via conditional offer, and my buyer was able to secure the property because their offer was unconditional. Had another situation a week ago where my client was able to secure an awesome condo in a great newer building, below market, in a multiple offer situation. Once again, they went in unconditional. The other offer was conditional. To understand why unconditional offers can be very effective in this market, even in situations where there is no multiple offers, you have to come at it from the perspective of the seller. So a lot of sellers are sitting on market 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, very few showings. Then maybe some of those sellers get an offer. Maybe they get an offer that they accept that has conditions for 10 days, financing, inspection, and that buyer does not follow through in removing subjects. The deal collapses. All of a sudden, they're back on market. So the sellers are very stressed out. Their properties are not selling. Maybe they've had an offer collapse. Interest rates continue to go up. So when you come to a seller that's been sitting on the market for a while and you hit them with an unconditional offer, often the seller is going to change their perspective on what their bottom line is. So let's say a seller is asking $1 million for a house, and the lowest they're willing to take in their mind is $950,000. You slide an offer in to them at $900,000, no conditions. That seller is going to think twice about what their bottom line is, because when they see that $900,000 unconditional in front of them, what that means is if they sign that offer, that means it's sold. There is no waiting for 10 days, fingers crossed, hoping that the buyer is going to remove conditions. And I've seen a lot of sellers accept substantially lower than they would have otherwise because an offer came in unconditional. Might be less money, but all of their stress is suddenly relieved. The fact there's been few showings, that the fact that they had an offer collapse, the fact that interest rates are low. So this is why unconditional offers can be very, very effective, both in multiple offer situations and non-multiple offer situations where properties have been sitting on the market for a long time. Yes, that seller will accept a conditional offer, but they may take substantially less for an unconditional offer just to get it done with. So I'm going to talk about the due diligence portion. A couple of weeks ago, one of my clients secured a condo unconditionally, beat out a higher conditional offer. First of all, this building, I happen to own a unit in there that I've owned since the building was built in 2014. Every month I receive all the strata documents, strata minutes. I go to all the AGMs. I know the little intricacies in this building, how the heat pump works in each unit. Why is the parking on a lease? A lot of realtors and buyers, they get scared when they see the parking is assigned via lease. I know why the original developer did that, etc. It's been a great investment for me. It's been a great building. So I was able to go to my buyer and say, here, these are the strata documents. but I've also owned in here for 8 years. I know it's a great building. You have nothing to worry about. And because most of my buyers come to me either via referral or they're repeat clients, you're not going to find my name on billboards, buses, etc. It's all organic business growth. People trust what I tell them because that's the way I grow my business. If I recommend someone a bad product, they're probably not going to refer me to their friends. And this buyer was comfortable with my suggestion of going unconditional. This buyer was also pre-approved for double the purchase price of this unit. So we knew financing wasn't going to be a problem. And I knew this building was going to be attractive to lenders. It's not a problematic building. It's a newer building with zero issues. I also own units in 5 other buildings in Victoria, and Victoria is not that big. So when clients come to me, it's not a stretch that they're buying into a building I own a unit and I'm super familiar with. On top of that, having done 1,000 transactions in my career, I'm also very familiar with buildings that I don't own units in. In terms of due diligence on single family homes, you can do a lot of due diligence ahead of time. For example, you can review the title. Are there any covenants on title? Are there any easements on title? Are there any rights of way on title? Etc., etc. Older properties, you can ask the seller to see if they've scanned it for an oil tank. If they haven't scanned it for an oil tank, then you can ask them for permission to access the property to scan it for an oil tank. And then perhaps, let's say you're tearing down the house, the condition of the property is not important, you make an unconditional offer. A lot of my clients too, they're savvy buyers. They'll play the odds. They'll figure, if an unconditional offer, if we can knock down another 30, 40, 50,000 in relation to a conditional offer, and let's say the average inspection is going to bring up $10,000 worth of issues beyond what we suspect through a walkthrough, the odds are we're going to get a better deal overall going in unconditionally, even though we're taking on some risk. Which brings me to unconditional offers really are for sophisticated buyers, buyers that have owned real estate before, that either have cash, huge down payments and are pre-approved, or have a backup plan for financing. Worst case scenario, for example, they'll borrow money from their parents while they sort out the financing. If you're buying a single family home with 5% down and a $20,000 repair bill for heating or whatever is going to put you into financial hardship, you should definitely not be making an unconditional offer. So the majority of my clients make conditional offer, subject to financing, subject to inspection. And depending on my client situation, we might do 3 or 4 different inspections. For example, oil tank scan, home inspection, drain tile inspection, because a lot of my clients, they just can't afford to have a huge bill. But a lot of my clients that are established, they figure in terms of probability, they might be able to secure an exceptional deal going in unconditional and taking a bit of risk. That's it for this week. Marko, Juras, Fair Realty.